in the pursuit of truth and common sense in an unbelievable world. You're listening to the Right Mind podcast with your host, Todd Schowalter.
Hello, everybody. I'm Todd Schowalter, and welcome to Right Mind. Today, my guest is Jason Dutch. He has a group called Dig on America, and we're going to talk about censorship today, which is becoming a rather scary and big issue. How are you doing today, Jason?
I'm doing real well, man. Thanks for having me on, Todd. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. You know, I mean, I've experienced some censorship through being sent to Facebook jail. A lot of stuff that I've posted on other social media has either been taken down or I've been warned about. If we just start with social media, what's your take on it? Where do you think we're going with all this?
Well, you know, it kind of, to my eye, it sort of depends on your perspective, right? So, you know, I know that there's a lot of folks out there on the right wing who, you know, are pretty much convinced that the entire world is against them, and leading the charge of that assault is Facebook and Twitter. And you know, it's not the most outrageous thought, because you know, social media and is a big problem there's a big problem with social media. I think that social media in general has a lot of inherent issues. I've been censored myself. I've lost the Twitter account with over 11,000 followers because I got into an argument with Dana Loesch of the NRA. Okay. So, you know, and I am about as far away from being like a Trump supporting right winger as you can possibly get. Okay. So the arguments that it's this right wing conspiracy, that there's this conspiracy against the right wing by the San Jose tech companies, to me is a little bit far-fetched. Okay. But that doesn't necessarily mean there's not an issue and that there's not certainly things to talk about.
Well, you know, the thing is, especially with social media, I mean, they're private entities, okay? They're owned by corporations I mean, they're not government, you know, they're not government owned, thank God. And, you know, people say, well, to an extent, you know, we can do whatever we want. You know, if we don't want you on there, we can edit, we can censor it. The only problem is, I mean, you know, the phone company, I mean, that's a private entity too. What will we do if the phone company started deciding what our texts were and who we could talk to? I mean, do you see some type of correlation there?
Well, it depends on who I've heard that argument many times before, and I think that it's an apple versus an orange. So, you know, I will say that I don't think we have to worry about the phone company as much as we do about social media, because phone companies don't generate algorithms as to who you come into contact with on your phone, right? Sure. I don't just get random text messages from people who might be, you know, like-minded to me. You know, Joe agrees with me on universal health care, so I therefore get text messages from Joe, or I didn't like Joe's text even though I don't know who he is. It's to me, it's not a super direct correlation, because the issue with the issue that you have with social media is it's a voluntary thing that you can get onto, and you can log in there and you can express your feelings, and you can share pictures of your dog, your cat, your kids, or whatever the case may be.
What you're eating for lunch too.
The food pics, you know, that sort of thing. You know, now if that's not to say that I want the government to monitor my phone calls, because I certainly don't want that. But, you know, if AT&T is monitoring phone calls and using it to stamp out terrorism or something of that nature, then, you know, in that regard, I probably wouldn't be too upset about that. But it all depends on what the results are, you know. But like I said, with social media, 90% of what you see is not something that you log into Facebook to see. Like, you log into Facebook to see what's going on today. When I'm making a phone call to you or a text message or something of that nature, it's an active conversation that I'm directly engaging in on purpose, not logging into Facebook to see a picture of my neighbor's cat and then finding anti-vaccine information, which I wasn't looking for in the first place.
I got you. Well, it's different. I mean, you're looking at, obviously, I mean, social media in that aspect is more of a mass media as opposed to a phone call. The thing is, I mean, people are expressing opinions. I mean, a lot of them are not, factually based. I mean, I think 99% of the people, maybe not that high, but a good portion would say, yeah, this is based on my opinions, not facts. When we have people come in and start fact checking, so to speak, I mean, how do we qualify these fact checkers? How do we know that they're not just full of it also?
Well, that's an interesting question. One of Facebook's fact checkers is Daily Caller.
I'm sorry, who?
So the Daily Caller.
Okay, all right.
Which is pretty astonishing in their right-wingedness. There's a lot of subtle hints of white supremacy that take place within the Daily Caller. There's a lot of anti-LGBT and especially anti-transgender sentiment that takes place on Daily Caller. Do I necessarily jump up and down for joy that Daily Caller is a registered fact checker with Facebook, or at least was up until recently? I don't know if they are today. But certainly when Zuckerberg was in front of Congress, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez questioned him on them specifically. And they're not the only company that is part of those fact checkers. My co-host on Dig on America podcast, Big Haas, has a very interesting saying he's been saying for years. Mm-hmm. If Breitbart tells me that 2 + 2 is 2, they're wrong. If Breitbart tells me that 2 + 2 is 4, that's a fact. So the facts are what matter, and it's how those facts are spun where things start to come into question. So if someone's fact checking something, like for example, I put a joke up on my Facebook page as just like my banner ad. I forgot specifically what it was. I think it was a Donald Trump quote that was it was his Twitter, a picture of his Twitter account with something just totally outlandish that he said.
Sure.
That was not true, right? And I put it up there as just because I thought it was funny, right?
Right.
Facebook blocked it out and took it down and said I was spreading disinformation, right? So it kind of I look at that, I'm like, okay, it was clearly a joke, but on the other end, maybe somebody doesn't know better and could take it as literal. So yeah, it was untrue. So therefore, it was fact checked, and I have to deal with that.
All right, and that leads me to another point. I mean, when did we get rid of satire in this world? I mean, it used to be. I mean, it just seems that nobody can take a joke anymore. I mean, everything is so factual and literal. And I mean, I grew up in a time when you had Blazing Saddles, you had All in the Family, none of that stuff could exist nowadays because
Blazing Saddles can.
What's that?
I don't agree on Blazing Saddles. I think Blazing Saddles is tremendous.
Classic.
All in the Family. Oh, a little bit different story, but they redid it with Woody Harrelson and Jamie Foxx, and they did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I saw it. Well, the jury's mixed on that one. What I'm saying though is that it seems that people, you can't. And I'm not saying some people don't know how to take. Well, yeah, I am saying that some people just don't know how to take a joke. And what is sad, I mean, people need to loosen up a little bit, don't you think? I mean, it seems that everybody is on edge and anything you say is offensive. And, I got to be honest with you. Anything you say, there's going to be somebody out there that's going to be offended about it, regardless of what it is. Okay. Mm-hmm. And if we have to walk on eggshells, whether it be social media or mass media or what, just so we don't offend that one person, I think the general population is missing out. I mean, do you think we're taking that too far as the censorship when it comes to just posting a joke?
Well, Todd, it depends on the context. It depends on the details, right? Like your general statement that you just made, I certainly will agree with. I don't think that I need to censor my speech in order not to offend Joe in Milwaukee. But if Joe in Milwaukee is representative of a group of people that is a substantial piece of this country, and what I said could be damaging to them, then I need to be open to work, those particular consequences. No one's taking away your right to free speech. What's happening these days, I think, is a little bit different than that, Todd. I think it's your speech. You can say whatever you want, but the consequences are now there, where before maybe they weren't there so much, if that makes any sense.
Right, it makes sense, but at the same time, it seems that we're digressing from the common sense of just having a sense of humor to everything is so analytical and sterile at this.
Well, give me an example of what you mean, so that I can.
Okay, I'll give you a perfect example. I posted a joke about the whole Bill Cosby situation. I mean, the man was obviously, in a situation that, in my opinion, you could post a joke about just the whole. It may have not have been, a clean joke, but it was a joke. Okay. I was banned, or I was taken down. I was told I couldn't post anything because of my Bill Cosby joke, which by the way, another thing, it included a photo that someone else had posted already. I reposted, I comment on it, but somebody took offense to it. And next thing you know, Todd is gone. Now, and I could see if I were saying, okay, I think that, we got to kill all the kittens or something like that. But if I'm making a joke about Bill Cosby, who's a public figure, and, it's public domain practically. Come on, give me a break. Where do we draw the line on this stuff?
Well, I don't know what the joke is that you posted, and I'm not going to pretend to know that. But where I think lines might be crossed would be is if the joke happened, and I don't know what it was again, but if the joke happened to go into,
it had to do with
Bill Cosby,
the reason he was incarcerated. So
okay, where I'm going is this: if it went into some sort of trope that attributing anything that has to do with Bill Cosby to his race or to his gender or whatever the case may be, then possibly. If it went into victim shaming or something of that nature, then possibly. But again, I don't know what the joke was without the context, I can't really say.
It had to do basically with, that he was drugging women and he got away with it. Okay, so but it was a satirization of that. And I won't go into it because I don't want our show to be banned, but it was, believe me, there's a lot worse than what I posted. And again, that's one of many instances. Again, if people take offense, okay, but you know what? I take offense to a lot of things also. I don't go out there and say, you got to take that down. I'm offended. It's like going into a restaurant. I mentioned this before. And, I want shrimp, but, Jason's over here. You don't like shrimp. So not only do I not to get to order my shrimp, but we're going to take shrimp off the menu altogether. That's just not fair. Okay. Now, and it's the same kind of thing in this. It just seems like if we're offending one group or one person, you're gone, And I've been offended by many things. Certain things I think are so ludicrous, subjective and irrational. I can't believe somebody would have the mind to even post it. But you know what? I go about my day, I do my thing. And then if I want to post something, satirize or something, so be it. I don't care. Now, the problem I have, especially when we get to the censorship issue, is we have a group of people that are saying, well, I can post what I want. Okay, I can have Kathy Griffin holding Trump's head bloodied and stuff like that, and that's going to be fine. But if I come back and make fun of Joe, then I'm in trouble. That's a double-edged sword. That's a double standard. Okay.
Okay, but what you just said, though, is false. Because when Kathy Griffin posted that picture of Trump, she was immediately chastised by the left for that.
I was not aware of it.
And she had. But see, this is the thing. Like I appreciate, my friend, open dialogue and open conversation, right?
Sure.
So, and I appreciate the fact that you've had me on the show. I went back, I listened to some of your podcasts beforehand to kind of get an idea of where you sit on a couple of issues.
Sure.
So, when it comes to race and stuff like that, we'll disagree on a lot of stuff because we just will, and that's okay. But when it comes to like, one of the things that I hear you talk about a lot is you seem to, and I'm not attacking you personally. I'm just making an observation.
That's fine. Go ahead.
That you seem to think that the left gets away with whatever they want, and the media is just ushering along the voice of progressives. I don't know if that's a fair characterization of your belief. You can tell me if my interpretation is right or wrong. But it seems to be that that's kind of where it's at. The left, there are two different lefts. Okay, you have the progressive left and you have the mainstream left.
Absolutely.
CNN and MSNBC are not ushering in the message of the progressive left. They hate the progressive left. They can't fucking, I don't know if I could swear here. Sorry.
No, we can do it. You're fine.
They can't freaking stand.
There's no censorship here, Jason.
Okay, perfect. So the MSNBC and CNN hate the progressive left. Now I'm not necessarily a progressive. I'm progressive-minded libertarian. I'm progressive on a lot of issues, and I'm not on some. But the idea that CNN and MSNBC and Twitter and Facebook are just the mouthpiece of the deep state and love AOC and Ilhan Omar is really ridiculous. The way that they treated Nina Turner and they attacked her last week in the Ohio special election was ridiculous. Okay, that they are. I need to stress for the record, the corporate Democrats that own the media, which they do, are not a friend of the progressives. They attacked progressives 1,000 times more than they attacked the right wing. Okay. You should have seen the way that Bernie Sanders was treated in 2016. There's a reason why Bernie Sanders did not get the Democratic nomination in 2016, because the media actively went against him because they have the same donors as the GOP. They're all under the thumb of big pharma. They're all under the thumb of big tech. They're all under the thumb of oil.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All of them have the exact same. McCarthy and Pelosi have the same donors. They kowtow to the same people. Progressives do not do that. That's why they go against progressives. Okay. So when it comes, the reason why I bring that up with the Kathy Griffin thing is, and Kathy Griffin is, I don't know or care if she's a progressive or not. But there's this idea that she just gets away with whatever she wants because it was anti-Trump. The progressive left went hard as hell after Kathy Griffin, and she apologized for those comments because of the pressure that she got from the progressive left. So to characterize the fact that she just got away with it without any repercussions whatsoever is astonishing. It's either dishonest or you didn't know. So I don't know which of those two things is true. Well, I'm going to assume the second.
In that particular instance, you're correct. She did get a lot of heat for that, and that's true. All I'm saying is there just seems to be, and going back, what I try to do on this show, okay, is seek the common sense. I try to be objective. Okay, there's so much subjectivity, whether it's from, the right media, whether it's from the left media, nobody knows what the hell the truth is. Okay. And I try to be, and you mentioned, my earlier shows, way I fall, and you mentioned race and things like that. I try to be as, objective and bring as much common sense to anything I talk about as I possibly can. And so, there are certain things that I question, and there's certain things that I observe that just they don't add up. And so going back to, as far as the media, I think you basically, it's not even a secret anymore. There are networks that cater to the left. There are networks that cater to the right. And depending on who you are, you're going to go get your little fix of so-called news. Okay. But what I want to know is, when in the hell are we going to know what's really going on? I'm a big boy. I don't care. You can give me this, just shoot straight with me. Give me the crystal clear truth. I don't care if it hurts my feelings, or I don't care if I'm elated. I want to know the truth. What happened to that? When are we going to get that back? I'm not saying you're right or wrong. You're not saying I'm right or wrong. But I just want the truth. Is this an apple? Is this an orange? Okay. Not one, now we're not going to discuss it. And just because you have a personal preference over apples and oranges, decide what it is. I want to know what the facts are, what the truth is.
Well, oranges all day, first of all.
Oranges are all day?
Yeah. I like oranges over apples. But again, you made a statement that in general that I agree with. And the answer to your question, as we kind of get, and I think this is about as non-political as I can get with this answer, Todd.
Sure.
Is it's not going to happen in this current climate. And there's a couple of reasons why. One of the reasons why is because of social media, because social media is based on algorithms. So, if I hit I like Marjorie Taylor Greene, if I like her Facebook page, right?
Okay.
Then that's going to trigger content that is that is tangential to her or ancillary to her, things that other people who like Marjorie Taylor Greene might see. So therefore, I might, and it would go the other way as well. If I clicked, I like Tom Hanks, it might show me stuff related to Tom Hanks.
Sure.
In fact, when you do an ad on Facebook, which I don't know if you've done one before, but I have, you one of the things that you put in there when you select the ad that you're paying for is target people who like this page, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
like for example, I might put in Colin Kaepernick because I'm a huge supporter of Colin Kaepernick's right to free speech, which of course has been censored by kicking him out of the NFL. But the point of the matter is that people don't care about facts anymore. They care about hearing what they want to hear, and this goes for the right
That's
and
right.
for the left as well.
Right.
It is, but it seems to me, from my perspective, you may have a differing perspective on this. It seems to be, from my perspective, and I'm a former Republican.
Uh-huh.
My parents are like Victory Channel, OANN watching Republicans, right? So I disagree with them on pretty much everything. They're anti-vax, they think Kat Kerr is like this greatest person ever. They think Trump will be back. When is Trump getting reinstated? The 14th. So in like 4 days,
I think next week.
Yeah, next week. So we'll all be celebrating his triumphant return as Cyrus 2.0. Right. But the point is, and I'm sort of joking there.
And what you can do, by the way, you can joke. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
But see, my parents, they don't care about the facts. And I say that, and I love my parents. My parents are wonderful, awesome parents. I'm so blessed to have them. But they don't care about facts anymore.
Mm-hmm.
If I show them an article, and this goes for a lot of different people on social media, like you'll get into a Facebook or Twitter discussion with people, and I might post a story from the New York Times or the LA Times or CNN or whatever the case may be. They're not even going to read it.
Sure. No, I understand.
Regardless of if it's true or not, they won't read it, because what the right has done, which the left started this, but the right perfected it, is they've said, I know that source is biased. I know that they're lying to me. So therefore, I'm not even going to acknowledge that it's there, regardless of the fact that there might be a link to an MIT study or a Stanford study within that article. But they'll say, oh, well, MIT and Stanford are from liberal areas, so they're biased. So you can't, there's no way to get a message across without having this barrier up to say that's fake news.
Okay, well, that's funny because, let me, in my situation, let's just flip the script. The majority of my family are huge CNN, MSNBC, all that. And we get the same situation where they refuse to listen to anything but, Anderson Cooper or whatever they say that's true.
That's unfortunate.
Well, I know. I didn't say it was good. But what I'm saying is what you said, okay, about, what you're dealing with, you can flip that and you've got it on the other side. And I think both of them, now they're both wrong. Okay, they're both wrong. Why can we not, regardless of where you stand, where your parents, where they lie, where my parents lie, whatever you think, it doesn't matter. Okay, but this is the truth objectively from what we can take away from the research and information that we have. This is the truth, because we don't have that. We do. We have these different segments that say, I'm going to listen to Anderson. I'm going to listen to, over here to, whoever's on the right, Joe Scarborough, whatever, and so you've got that, and you're listening to what you, it's like music, okay? It's like, you like country music, I like rock, whatever. So you don't want to listen to country, you don't want to, but fine, that's music. But when it comes to the news, I want to know what is real. And nobody knows. It's all subjective.
Yeah. We did a show
I'm not
a couple weeks
ago. It goes both ways though.
And that's fine. But facts don't care about your feelings, right? I could have sworn that was true.
Sure.
I know I swore I heard that somewhere before. But what it's come down to though is someone, and again, I'm not trying to position myself as someone who always sides with CNN because I don't listen to CNN. I'm a big fan of guys like yourself and guys like, our show, a lot of the internet. There's so many different real good media sources out there that are doing grassroots journalism and offering, the news might offer you, for example, Rachel Maddow is really good about showing the receipts for what she does. She then spins it though, right? So like, I'm not interested in her spin, but I'll parse out the factual information that she may give me and then go back and double check and research that, right?
Sure. Right.
So, I can do the same thing with, say, Tucker Carlson, though it's difficult for me, but Tucker Carlson may give me some factual information. But what ends up happening is the facts are the letters A, B, and C, and then the rest, D through Z, is opinion journalism, spinning it, telling you, oh, the fact is this, but building a narrative on top of that fact, right? And that's where we have to be able to parse out that information, but people aren't willing to do that. Why would I say that? Because Twitter actually built into their platform an algorithm that shows that if I tweet a news story from, say, Vox, right, and it's about critical race theory, which I know your last show was on, right, and someone comes into my article or to my tweet and they want to reply to my tweet or retweet my tweet, and this is a good thing. Twitter actually will say, have you read the article? You might want to read it before you retweet it or before you reply to it, right? Facebook will actually, I believe, does something similar. But I think the stat was 87% of people just click dismiss and move on and either reply or retweet or block the article based on
that's
just the title, right?
In the masses. Yeah, and that's what you're getting in the masses. I will say, Jason, we're almost out of time here on this. We got a half an hour, but the thing is, what I find, and before we wrap up, you're obviously you're more left leaning. I'm obviously more right leaning, and here we've had a civil conversation, debate, whatever you want to call it. No hate, no. I love talking. I enjoy talking to people like yourself more than somebody that's going to pat me on the head, say, "Oh, you're right," because we can have this. I think this is how. Well, thank you. That's how we get things done, and that's how we move ahead. I think we're so divided right now that it's such a it's a war. I'm against you, you're against me. People like you and myself and other people come together. Now you don't have control over them anymore, but I think we could get a hell of a lot done. So I'd love to talk with you some more because you bring a lot of thoughts, more questions for me that I'd have, and maybe I have for you too. What I do in every show in the last 2 minutes is I give you, it's time for Jason to save the world. Jason, you got 2 minutes. What are you going to do to make the world a better place, and how are we going to fix everything?
Well, I appreciate that. First of all, thank you for having me on. Again, if you want to check out Digging America, you can do that. Just
and we'll put that up on the screen too.
You'll find it easily. But what I think is important is to look, and we sort of focus our podcast around this, is research your history, right? When it comes to what the premise of our podcast is very simple, and I think it's good for life too. The issues that we deal with today are all created by American history, whether it's recent history or the media or movies or the Constitution or the Revolutionary War, whatever the case may be. So the more that you learn about actual, real, objective history and facts, the better of an idea that you get for the climate that we find ourselves in today. So what I would encourage everyone to do is go, even if you're just reading a Wikipedia page on a random historical topic daily, or you go to, whatever historical website that you want to, or you're looking at like Crash Course History or something like that, educate yourself on some history. Because I think the more that you look to see other people's perspectives on things and maybe learn some things that they didn't teach you in school, you really can start to form a more solid opinion of what the actual history is and why we're dealing with the things that we're dealing with today. And when we know history, we have a better opportunity to engage in conversations and to evoke real effective change for the things that affect all of us. Because I think all of us want our kids to grow up in a better, more equitable society. And they can only do that if we're giving them the tools in which to do it. And we don't do that by staying in our echo chambers. So seek out people that you may not agree with, be civil to them, read the story that someone might give you as a counterpoint. You don't have to agree with everything.
Exactly.
But at least acknowledge the opinions, and don't go right into calling someone a libtard or, a MAGA hating racist, or, whichever side of the equation you're on.
Sure.
Don't jump to the extreme right away. Listen and then speak. And I can learn from that advice as well, by the way, because I don't always do that.
Well, I think everybody does, to be quite honest with you. And you hit on history, and I've said on earlier shows, we have to study history so it doesn't repeat itself, or at least the bad parts don't repeat themselves. And again, I agree totally with you. I mean, it's people like you and I that may not have the same, opinions, but we can come together and have a civil conversation, which is awesome. And, like I said, I want to talk. There's a lot more I'd like to talk with you about on a future show.
Yeah, we can certainly talk again. Or you come on our show, I'll come on yours. Let's rock and roll.
Let's do it. Okay, now your show is Dig on America. We'll put that up on the screen. Is that available on all the major podcasts and on the platform?
Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you for that. We live stream on Twitch and on YouTube every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Pacific. And we're also on every, all the podcasting apps, from Pandora to Stitcher to iHeartRadio to iTunes to Google to Spotify, pretty much every single one of them.
Great. Well, I'm looking forward to checking it out. I'm sure my listeners, or watchers, whatever, they'll be checking it out too. But I'm personally looking forward to seeing it. And again, I really appreciate you coming on the show today. I would like you to come back again because I want to talk about the statues. I want to talk about all kinds of stuff that may get us going.
You don't want to talk about that with me? No. Yeah, let's do it.
You seem like a fun guy to have a conversation. Well, you are a fun guy to have a conversation with. So anyway, till next time, Jason, thank you very much again for joining me. And for everybody listening and watching, thank you. This is Todd Schowalter, and you've been listening or watching Right Mind. And remember, if you don't have a right mind, you don't have a mind at all. Until next time, bye-bye.
This has been the Right Mind Podcast with Todd Schowalter.